Hi everyone, this is Mrs. Conlin, and today we are going to make homemade croissants using an advanced baking technique, laminating dough. Let's start by making the dough. To prep the butter, we're going to slice 1¼ cups of butter into 1/2-inch slices. Arrange the butter into a rectangle in between two pieces of parchment paper. Take a rolling pin and pound out the butter, and then roll to get a consistent height. A trick to make rolling out your butter sheet much easier is to fold your parchment paper into a rectangle, being sure to crease the sides tightly so that the butter does not seep out as you roll it. This way, your butter sheet will be exactly the size you need it. Place your parchment rectangle on a silicone mat so it doesn't slide around on your counter as you roll it. After you've let your dough refrigerate for an hour, you're going to roll it out. Start by lightly flouring both sides of the dough, your work surface, and your rolling pin. Roll your dough into the shape of a rectangle. The size will be determined by the size of your countertop, but in general, the length of the dough should be 3 times the width of the butter, and the width of the dough should equal the length of the butter. Continue to square off the edges of your dough as you roll it out to keep that rectangular shape. When you're finished, brush off the excess flour with a pastry brush. Once your dough is the correct size, take your butter out of the refrigerator. Lay it out in the center of your dough as shown here and remove the parchment. Here is a visual of what we mean when we say the length of the dough should be 3 times the width of the butter, and the width of the dough should equal the length of the butter. Take each of your edges and fold it over the butter like an envelope. You may need to stretch the dough slightly to ensure all of the edges meet and the butter is completely covered with each layer of dough. I'm going to cut the edges of the dough here so you can see what the layers look like. There will be 3 layers of dough and 1 layer of butter. After letting the dough refrigerate overnight, we're going to make our croissants. We'll begin by cutting the dough in half and putting 1/2 back in the refrigerator. Take a look at all the layers of butter and dough here. Roll out the remaining dough into a rectangle that is approximately 8 inches wide by 40 inches long. Once you've got the dough to the size you want, trim the edges and then cut the dough into 4 rectangles. Roll each rectangle into a croissant shape and place on a cookie sheet. Coat each croissant with egg wash and leave in a warm place for 1 to 2 hours to proof. When the croissants are done proofing, coat them in 1 more layer of egg wash and then bake at 400 degrees for 15 minutes or until they're golden brown.